Yo, what's up everybody, Professor V here, and it's been several weeks since I put out a What You Missed video, so without further ado, roll intro. So in this edition of What You Missed, I will just be covering material that I didn't cover in class for the last few weeks in my lifespan growth and development course. I will do a separate video for my general psych classes soon. Let's do some time traveling, y'all. All the way back to when we talked about chapter 7. Wow, it seems like ages ago. We went over early childhood, physical and cognitive development. I believe for the majority of my classes, we got through most of the chapter. But to recap, let's talk about some key items from chapter 7 that is on the exam. In early childhood, we are in the second stage of Jean Piaget's cognitive development theory, the pre-operational stage. One of the key characteristics of the pre-operational stage is centration. This is when a child can only focus on one aspect or characteristic at a time, such as height or weight, not both. They can't take more than one dimension of an object into consideration. In this picture, you see a child given two beakers of water in a picture. Picture A, you may ask the child if the water levels are the same in each beaker. They will likely say yes. Then, as seen in picture B, you pour one of the beakers of water into a graduated cylinder, a taller but thinner glass. This results in the water levels being higher in the graduated cylinder when compared to the beaker. You then ask the child which glass has more water. They will likely point to the graduated cylinder despite the fact that they believe the amount of water was the same in the beakers, and they saw you pour the water into the graduated cylinder. They are swayed by the fact that the water rises higher than the graduated cylinder because of it being thinner and taller. They are experiencing centration at this point in cognitive development. They are only able to focus on one dimension of an object at a time. They also experience irreversibility. They don't understand that if you were to pour the water from the graduated cylinder back into the beaker, that it will be the same. Here's a clip of my nephew experiencing centration a few years ago when he was in the pre-operational stage of cognitive development. You may recognize it as I've shown it in class before.
Hi everybody, this is Jacob and I'm going to do an experiment.
Okay, I want you to tell me, Jacob, are these glasses do they have the same amounts of water?
Yeah.
Yeah? Okay. I'm going to take this glass and I'm going to put the water into this glass. Okay? Now tell me, which glass has more water?
This one.
That one?
Towards the end of the pre-operational stage, a child will develop conservation and be able to focus on more than one dimension at the same time. Moving on to scaffolding and the zone of proximal development. Parents and teachers have a drastic impact on the development of a child. The zone of proximal development is a period of time in which a child is learning. It could be defined as the distance of what is known and what is not known. In between is the zone of proximal development, the ZPD. This is where if a child is given a task that they have the motor skills to complete, but are unsure how to complete it without guidance, a knowledgeable person, such as a parent or a school teacher, can help guide them through their ZPD and develop more skills to complete the task. Scaffolding is a technique used by knowledgeable persons such as parents and school teachers while guiding children through their ZPD. It is temporary support provided by a parent or teacher to learning children. The technique includes showing children how to complete a task, such as tying their shoes. They tie the shoes themselves and then ask the child to watch. Then they slowly guide the child in learning how to tie their shoes and ask them to complete the steps one by one. Parents do this and slowly wean the child off the guidance until they are able to complete the task of tying their own shoes. Moving to chapter 8 material and self-concept and self-esteem. Self-concept is how we describe ourselves, perceive ourselves, and evaluation of ourselves. As we get older, how we describe ourselves, our self-concept of ourselves, shifts from various categories. In early childhood, we begin to visually recognize and differentiate ourselves from others in our lives, such as our parents. In early childhood, our self-concept is defined by external physical traits such as being a boy or a girl. This is an example of the categorical self. As we get older, our self-concept becomes more descriptive. Another aspect of the self-concept is self-esteem. To build their self-esteem, children compare themselves or make judgments about two different aspects. First is cognitive and physical competence. They are able to perform the same task as others in their age group and in preschool or daycare. These things could be the ability to tie their shoes, being able to solve simple puzzles, or being able to recite the alphabet or count. The other aspect is social acceptance by peers and parents. This includes the amount of friends that they have and their parents engaging in different activities with them, such as reading to them, helping them with their homework, or swinging them on a swing set. Children who have a higher self-esteem have a more secure attachment towards their parents. Next is the third stage of Erik Erikson's psychosocial developmental theory, initiative versus guilt. This is when children tend to assert themselves. Children in this stage are starting to gain independence from their parents and want to begin to do different tasks on their own, such as dressing themselves or tying their shoes. They'll tell their parents, "No, I do it." This is also a period in which children begin to regularly interact and play with other children. This allows them to develop interpersonal skills, and when given these opportunities, they begin to feel a sense of initiative and feel secure about their ability to interact with others. However, if this is blocked by parents or teachers, they may begin to have feelings of guilt. They may feel as if they cannot perform these activities or be social. They may begin to feel inferior to other children. This is also a time of asking why. Children in this stage begin to question everything as they are trying to understand their social world and have a thirst for knowledge. If parents ignore these questions or threaten their questions as trivial, the child may develop guilt of being annoying to their parents, and this can slow how they progress in social activities. Gender roles are heavily influenced during early childhood. Gender roles are cultural stereotypes of what behaviors do males engage in and what behaviors do females engage in. Here are a few gender American culture stereotypes of what it is supposed to be a typical male. And these are a few gender American culture stereotypes of what it is supposed to be a typical female. At about 2.5 years of age, children are able to identify if people are male or female in pictures, and by 3 years of age, they begin to classify toys, clothes, work, and different activities as either male or female. Studies have shown that early childhood children will say that boys are supposed to play with cars, help dad with different things, and be aggressive, while they also say that girls wear dresses, help mom with different things, and are not as aggressive. These gender roles are then reinforced by parents and other family members and friends by buying different types of toys or clothing for children. Often parents will buy their sons masculine toys, such as a play tool set or a doctor set, while girls receive dolls and easy bake ovens. Children often think highly of their own gender and see their own gender in a more positive light. Boys will describe themselves as nicer than girls, while girls will describe themselves as nicer than boys. Onto material from chapter 9 we didn't get to in class. One of the disorders I needed to discuss was dyslexia. Dyslexia refers mainly to difficulties in learning to read and is generally diagnosed in the first few years attending school. It is characterized by letter reversal, mirror reading, slower reading, and reduced comprehension. Dyslexia may be diagnosed if these symptoms are noticed in children and all other possibilities have been ruled out, such as other handicaps, intellectual disabilities, or socioeconomic disadvantages. Treatment for dyslexia in young children when it is first diagnosed focuses on remediation, that is, educational approaches and techniques. They will complete a series of highly structured exercises focused on determining the smallest form of language, phonemes, which are the specific and smallest sounds in which letters and certain combinations of letters, including whole words, make. More exercises are also used to aid in reading accuracy, speed, and expression. These exercises include reading aloud. A child with dyslexia may also be mainstream. This is when a child with a learning disability such as dyslexia is placed in a normal classroom that has been adapted to their needs. Last thing I will cover from chapter 9 is the third stage of Jean Piaget's cognitive developmental theory, concrete operations. Children in middle childhood are in the concrete operation stage. They have developed an understanding of conservation and are decentric. They can focus on more than one aspect of objects, problems, or situations. This stage is also characterized by a child's ability to think using transivity, seriation, and class inclusion. You can see in this slide how I define transivity. This could be explained as such. You are younger than your parents and your children are younger than you. Thus, your children are also younger than your parents. This is an example of transivity. In seriation, this is a child's ability to order objects according to 2 or more dimensions. In a study, when children were asked to order 10 sticks from smallest to largest, children who were in middle childhood were able to complete this task, while children who were in early childhood could not complete this task successfully. Piaget then took it a step further and asked children to order leaves of different levels of brightness and sizes. Only children in middle childhood were able to complete this task successfully. Class inclusion refers to the understanding of categories of things and that categories may have subcategories. If a child is shown 6 pictures for dogs and 2 cats and then asked, are there more animals or more dogs? If the child is in early childhood, and this is the pre-operational stage now we're talking, remember, they can only focus on one aspect of a task at a time and does not have the cognitive ability to process that dogs and cats are both animals. The child will then focus on the fact that there are 4 dogs, which is more than 2 cats, and thus will answer dogs to the question. A child in concrete operations will likely answer animals as they realize that there are 4 dogs and 2 cats, but both dogs and cats are animals. For chapter 10 material, I remember going over most of the material in chapter 10, but again, to recap, let's discuss conduct disorders. Conduct disorders may be seen in children in middle childhood. It is characterized by habitual behavior that violates either the rights of others or major societal norms. They exhibit behaviors such as lying, stealing, fire setting, truancy, cruelty to animals, and fighting. It may also be characterized by a callous and unemotional interpersonal style across multiple settings and relationships. Children with conduct disorder often have a low tolerance for frustration and become quickly angered and throw temper tantrums, even when the tantrums were ignored in early childhood. There are some genetic links to conduct disorder, often seen in children whose parents may suffer from antisocial personality disorder. It may also stem from a parent's parenting style, types of physical punishments, and just overall stress. Often the treatment for conduct disorders include seeing a therapist or psychologist to aid in recognizing the misconduct and helping them develop social skills. And this is it for this edition of What You Missed. We were able to finish chapter 11 and chapter 12 for the most part in class, luckily. Thanks for watching, and I will see you in class or in the next video. Ciao. Whew, what an episode, but don't y'all want to see my Halloween costume? Watch this. Happy Halloween.